Welcome to Aligned to Impact, the podcast where conscious leadership meets bold entrepreneurship. I'm your host, Summer Huntington, and each week we dive deep with founders, innovators, and thought leaders who are rewriting the rules of business from the inside out. Here we talk mindset, brand, content, culture, the real stuff behind building a legacy-driven business that doesn't burn you out. No filters, no fluff, just real conversations that inspire aligned action and intentional impact. If you're a visionary leader ready to create with purpose, grow with integrity, and lead with your heart, you're in the right place. Let's get into it.
I'm going to lean more into the mystical. I'm going to lean more into the spirit-based. I'm going to lean more to my indigenous background and teachings. Things I learned from the South American tradition, Costa Rica, things that come from my own lineage as a native Canadian Indian. Bringing more of that tradition and that connection with nature into my teaching and my healing practices and my coaching. Empowering, and no better place to do it.
I would love to give a big warm welcome to Diane K of Diane K Yoga. She is based out of Los Angeles. She has so much experience in yoga, and I'm really excited to dive in. Thank you so much, Diane, for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here. And really, really grateful for the opportunity to share.
Well, ever since I've met you, Diane, you have just been such a beacon of light, and you have this very educational, grounded energy where you have the education and the strategy and the business, but you're also very grounded in your yoga practice too. So I'm curious, can you share a bit about your current work and how it's evolved beyond the traditional yoga teacher path?
Yes. Well, the interesting part is my background is business and marketing. And I left that path to become a teacher back in 2007. And my teaching has always been different. People come out of my classes and go, "Who are you? What are you? What was that?" Because I've never been your traditional, what people would call a pink and fluffy yoga instructor. That's not me. I'm very, very direct, very grounded teaching. I teach like a coach. When I was teaching in Toronto, my first couple of years teaching, I had a professional hockey player and the trainer for his team come take my class in Oakville. And they took my class, they came up to me afterwards and they said, "Do you teach privately?" And I'm like, "Yeah." Handed them my business card, they left. I didn't hear from them for over a month. Month and a half later, they come back and they said, "Would you come teach for our team?" And I'm like, "Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to come teach. I'm Canadian. I want to help the hockey players stay, agile and mobile and free from injury. It's our sport." And I said, "But if you don't mind me asking, what took you so long?" And he said, "I'm going to keep it real with you. We went and took every reputable yoga instructor's class in the city, in the vicinity. We went and tried all. And we came back to you because you teach like a coach and the guys are going to listen to you." That's been the difference.
Well, I definitely resonate so much with that. I've been in kind of that seat as yoga coach for a bit here. So I think our paths might have crossed for a reason. Can you tell me a little bit more about the coaching philosophy or the coaching style that you have, just to kind of elaborate a little bit more on that?
Mine is really embodied teaching through lived experience. My path has never been a straight one. And I've lived a very full life. I'm 49, I'm turning 50 this year. And I've lived in a lot of places. I've traveled a lot. I've been through a lot. I've had a lot of traumas, a lot of experience. And my mother always told me that those difficult things that you have to go through, they're your training. They're hands-on training. They're on-the-job training. You are learning through going through these difficulties, through walking the fire yourself, how to hold space for other people and how to... So I've been able to turn it, to change it. And a lot of times, not every time, but a lot of times in that practice room, I'm teaching what I'm going through. So as I'm learning, I'm sharing what I'm learning alongside my students. So when I teach, I really get down on my hands and knees in the mud with people, and I think they feel that, and they know that. I'm raw. I'm right there with them. I'm like, there's no separation. I'm not your guru. I'm a guide. I'm a friendly guide, and I'm here to walk beside you and just, be here with you. I'm not here to heal you. You can heal yourself. I'm here to just be a friend, to help you.
Yeah, I think with coaching asana, a lot of yoga teachers are oftentimes, teaching a sequence. And I think there's so much more when you're teaching empowerment and embedding that wisdom and that energy of coach. It really helps push people beyond what they think they're capable of, to really empower them to kind of step into their next level selves. So I'm curious, what inspired you to start writing your book, and what's the core message behind it, if you're open to sharing?
Yeah, sure. Well, firstly, it's like 30 years of study, 25 years of self-inquiry, 20 years of teaching, 35 years of living at Mach 9 with my hair on fire, fully going for it, always saying yes, a lot of good stories. There's a lot of great stories in there, and a lot of wisdom that comes out of my mistakes. I mentor a lot of people, younger people, and I always say, when I'm guiding you or giving you advice, it's not because I'm smarter than you, it's because I've made more mistakes than you. And the actual turning point was I was working with a spiritual intuitive from Toronto for about 6 years when I started doing my work. And I had just moved to LA full time, and she said, there's a peace labyrinth in the middle of the city. I don't know if you know about it. I didn't know about it. It's in the middle of, like, you wouldn't know it. Anyway, she said, go walk this labyrinth, and you're going to get a download when you finish walking the labyrinth. So I drove out to the middle of nowhere in the city to this beautiful peace labyrinth. I walked it, got to the middle of the labyrinth, nothing, not a squat. No message, no nothing, complete waste of my afternoon. I'm like, what the? I go back. Next time I talk to her in a session with my intuitive therapist, she said, Diane, did you go walk the labyrinth? I said, yeah, I did. And I got nothing. And she goes, go do it again. I went back. I walked the labyrinth again. When I finished in the center of the labyrinth, boom, giant voice. It's not my voice. This is when I have heard divine messages speak to me. And this one came loud in my head, and it said, Diane, write your story. And I looked up at that voice and went, no. Really? Tell me to go marry an ex-ball player and eat bonbons on the beach in Malibu. Don't tell me to write a book. That's hard. And I've been resisting it ever since. And I only really started during lockdown. I was locked down now during the pandemic. I started, and I've also been really distracted from finishing. I'm only now stepping back to start reshaping it and reworking it and finding the time and space to get it out there.
What would you say the core message behind the book is, if you could kind of sum it up?
Trust. Make that 8-inch journey from your head back to your heart, from fear back to love. And trust yourself, trust your inner knowing. Trust that you are divine and you have all the tools within you that you need. And to come back to yourself and stop outsourcing your power. And, when you ask for things, when you need things, ask for this, but leave room for something better. Leave room for magic. I was just watching a great poem, David White. He unpacks poems by like Mary Oliver and other great things, and he said, you'll know you're on your path when the path disappears and you can't see it in front of you. I have no idea what's coming, but I know it's coming. I don't know how I'm going to get there. I don't know what it's going to look like, but I trust it's going to come. And I don't need to know the how. My friend Lauren Vanderpool was recently interviewed by another friend of mine, and she said this: it wasn't in like some big moment, it was in the day-to-day, in and out, listening and trusting with complete confidence, and just one foot in front of the other, one foot in front of the other. And that's exactly where I am right now. I don't have to know how. I don't have to know when. I just have to let go and allow room for the magic. So that's really the core essence. It's a story of miracle and heartache and trauma and difficulty and the lessons learned through that, and the difficult path to awareness, because it's not for the faint of heart. This journey, once you start to awaken, once you start to walk on the path, it's not easy, but it's worth it. 100% worth it.
Absolutely. Yeah, I've always noticed this like magic and this like spiritual connection that you have, and it's so refreshing, because I think a lot of us can be caught in a fear state, and there's a lot happening in the world and with the economy, but you seem to have this really positive outlook on life, and it seems like it really comes from deep within in your heart and in your spirituality.
Yeah, that honestly, I've been convicted since I was a child. My mother tells me stories all the time of when I was like 7 years old, running around, just so full of the Holy Spirit and so full of God. And I actually, as I got older, I went through a phase in my life, my late teens, early 20s, when I was going to university, where I got too smart for spirit, too smart for God. And so I went and I studied all of it. I studied Judaism, Hinduism, Buddhism, all the isms, Catholicism, all of it, going like, I'm going to figure this out. And what I learned is that they're all saying the same thing, just in different ways. And my father said that to me, because my dad was Greek and he was raised Greek Orthodox, but he was never really into it. It wasn't his thing. And he used to tell me when I was growing up, he'd say, Diane, you know what? It's all the same thing, just different ways of saying it. And so, after he finished paying for my second degree and all this learning, he goes, so what'd you learn? Oh, that you were right. Oh, okay, so then my money was well spent. And then the way I came back around from my hubris was, God had to throw me on my face a couple times. And sometimes you got to get thrown on your face so there's nowhere to look but up. Or should I say now, within my knowledge, nowhere to look but within, to your own divinity, to your own truth. Because we are all beautiful creations of the Most High God. All of us.
Yeah, I can just feel your passion and your energy just through this call. I'm curious, we had this conversation about this idea of being like just a yoga teacher. And I'm curious, what's one misconception people have about being just a yoga teacher or a wellness leader or facilitator, whatever you want to call it? I'm curious your take on that.
Yeah, it's often misconstrued as trite or somehow easy. It's anything but. I left the corporate path. I was actually going to law school. I wrote the LSAT, and something in me, just changed and shifted. That wasn't the right path. And I came out and I went into marketing and business, and then I found yoga through a knee injury. But people think it's easy, and it's anything but. It is the path less taken. There is no financial security. There's no security whatsoever. It's a lot of study. It's a lot of self-study. It's a lot of looking at yourself, doing your own work, because you have to walk the path yourself. A great teacher does not teach from theory. You teach because from your own practice, and the practice of going inward. And sitting in your shit, as we call it, yoga circles, sitting with your stuff, sitting in your darkness, sitting in your shadow. There's a lot of that in order to be able to hold space and to share with people authentically. And there's a quote, I can't remember who said it, those who dare to teach must never cease to learn. I love learning. If someone would have paid me to stay in university and just get degree after degree after degree, that's what I'd be doing. Fortunately, that doesn't happen, but following the yogic path has demanded that I continue to learn, to study, to look at it, to look at myself, to grow, to change. I don't teach the same thing I taught 5 years ago or the same way I taught 10 years ago, because I'm always learning. Always, always, always looking at it. There's a different way of looking at the body. There's a different way of looking at emotions or the soul contract. There's a different way of looking at therapeutic alignment. Always learning.
Yeah, I definitely share that sentiment with just evolving. We're always evolving as teachers, and how I totally agree. Like how I taught 5 years ago is absolutely different from how I'm teaching today, and the circumstances of our students in the world, we might be really teaching who's in front of us and to the situation as well. What is the next edge of your growth, personally or professionally, that excites you most?
I alluded to this earlier, is really taking the hands off the wheel, and I'm stepping into letting go of control and owning my worth, stepping into my confidence, my own power. I had a dear friend tell me before I left Toronto and moved to LA, he said, "You're a rock star, you just don't know it yet." And I own that, and I'm actually starting, I want to hold that space with humility, and that's a challenge. So the part of my growth is being able to step into my power, to allow myself to be seen, to stop hiding, to put it out there, to put myself out there, and to trust that it's going to be well received, and to learn how to hold myself in that space in a way that's authentic and without any arrogance, but with confidence. It's like to be ambitious without being ruthless, to be kind without being timid. This is where my work lies right now, in the growth.
Yeah, you're very humble considering, the level of affluence you have in LA and the people that you're connected with. I just find you very, very humble. And I know your goals coming up here are to really be moving into more and more stages, because you've done quite a few, speaking engagements. What pivotal moment made you realize your story needed to be shared on bigger stages?
Again, wasn't one moment. It was the day in, the day out, the moments. Every day going in and out of that studio, and the reaction of my students and the people I've met and I've touched. Their reaction to me is something that I don't even understand. One of the actors that comes into their studio and takes my classes and other classes, he said to me, he's like, "Wow, you have this incredible positive energy and light. Like, it's palpable. Like, you walk in the studio and people step back, sideways. Like, your energy raises the level." So it's been feedback. It's been people coming out of my classes crying, hugging me, thanking me. And I don't really think I've done much or anything, but they tell me, "Oh my God, that was so powerful. You really helped me." So seeing that impact that I'm having, whether I know it or not, is a calling. It's I believe it's something, if I can help, then it's on me to do. I think that we're all given a gift, and the purpose of life is to find that gift and give it away, share it with others. It's like the practice of yoga is a gift we give away, because there's not a lot of money in it traditionally. Yoga teachers don't teach for money. They need other sources of income to support themselves. Studio owners, the ROI, the return on investment of the yoga studio is minimal. The only other industry I know that is that tight is gourmet restaurants. I have a friend who's in that space. She owns like 14 gourmet restaurants, and her margins are razor thin. And people don't realize that the margins on a yoga studio are razor thin. There's a reason that there's no yoga studios in Malibu or Beverly Hills. Couldn't afford the overhead, couldn't afford the rent. I actually looked at opening a studio in La Jolla, California back in 2015 with a friend of mine, and who's a brilliant businessman as well. And we looked at the numbers and it just didn't work. So because it's a yoga studio's numbers for how many bodies you put in the room. And believe me, I can tell you, for those of you who do practice and go to a studio, I hear a lot of complaining about the prices of yoga and stuff like that. I'm like, they're just keeping the doors open. These people aren't making any money. It's an act of love. It's an act of service. These are people with really good hearts, like you.
I'm like, tears makes me tear up just hearing you say this, because for your knowledge in business to really break this down, like people need to hear this. Our industry needs to step up and like raise the prices so these people that are shepherding these beautiful spaces and communities can have like a sustainable income. So I'm very passionate about it, and I just really appreciate you bringing that to light, Diane. But yeah, keep going. Yeah, preach.
I will preach. People don't understand. I mean, it is hard. My income, when I went from corporate to teaching full time, my income went from 6 figures, boom, down to like 35, 40,000 right away. And I had to, sold my BMW, got a Mazda, right? And just started, took my cost of living down. And thankfully I had other income streams because I have a strong business background. I was able to support myself, and I worked my ass off. I mean, I taught 6 days a week, morning, night, clopeners, where you close the studio, you open the studio. I didn't know what a weekend was. Holidays, that's when we worked. And I did this, and you work hard. It's still, my family will be like, oh, what's going on for the holiday? Where I'm like, they know I'm not going to be around. I'm working. Because yoga instructors, teachers, we work when everyone else is off. That's when people come to us. And, you work really hard. I remember when I was, my first marriage was very short and ended in a divorce. And I remember speaking to my divorce lawyer, and he was looking at my income statements of the year. And he knows that the possibility for decent income doing what I was doing was very low. And he goes, wow, for you to be making what you're doing, and this is like one of the top 3 divorce attorneys in Toronto, Ontario at the time. And he said, for you to be making what you're making, you must be A, really freaking good at what you do, and B, you must work your balls off. And he was right. I worked my balls off, but I did it out of love and out of passion. And I wouldn't have been able to do it just on that alone. I had to have other sources of income to support my living. And it's almost like you need to fund your yoga teaching practice. And that's what the industry is, and that's what people don't understand, that it's a passion. You do it because you love it. You don't do it for money. And that's from the teachers to the studio owners. These are people with really great hearts that really want to help you and are passionate about what they do. They believe in what they do. A lot of them don't have necessarily the best business acumen. I'm currently coaching and mentoring some of my friends in the space who are great teachers. They don't necessarily have the business sense to make it work. And I'm helping them going, okay, with my business acumen and financial background and my business degree and whatnot, I'm able to go, okay, this is how you do it. This is what you need to do. What we all know that need that. And I know a lot of people in the space who are starting to move into that space of just helping to coach studio owners and yoga teachers on how to survive, how to make a living, not go broke.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely right up my alley. And I would say if you're just teaching classes, it's very hard to make this a sustainable career. I calculated it out one time. To make 10K a month, you would need to teach about 62 hours a week. 62 hours a week, making $40 an hour.
Right.
But if you have private clients or, events, I know you've got a whole leg of your business that you're launching here with your bespoke retreats, which I'd love to get into as well. And then one other thing too that's emerging is the digital yoga space is blowing up right now. And so it's a huge untapped market where people are really wanting to shift into asynchronistic learning. They want to learn from their favorite teachers all the time. And so I'm a big advocate for yoga teachers to diversify in their services, and even yoga studio owners, if you're listening, diversifying in your services so that the only revenue stream is not just your group. If you just have group as your only revenue stream, you're going to be where Diane's talking about. And if you expand the capacity for your privates, your events, your digital courses, I'm curious, do you have any feedback on that or any insights?
Oh, well, like I because I do health and wellness coaching as well. I used to do fitness competitions when I was in my 20s, so I know how to use diet and exercise to lean people out or get them to their ideal body shape or health. And so I wrote a quick little ebook called Eat to Be Skinny. And it's on my website, and that's a revenue generator because people just click, they buy this ebook, which is like 10 pages, and that's an income stream.
Nice. Passive revenue. It's the name of the game. Put your intellectual property into assets, and then you can scale those assets. Okay, so I'm so curious about what's happening with the day retreats. You're moving away from teaching as many weekly public classes into these bespoke day retreats. Can you walk us through why and what that shift has unlocked for you?
As you've mentioned, I'm a big God girl. I'm a big spiritual person. And when I say that, I mean all-encompassing. I'm actually sitting in the spirit room in my house. I have this fabulous home that I've been blessed with. And this room in my house is just, people walk in my house and they go, whoa. It's a very powerful room. And in this room, I have articles of faith from all faiths. I have a statue of the Buddha. I have Lord Ganesha, the Hindu god. I have a crucifix of the Christ. I have a Jewish mezuzah on my front door. I also have my native drum up there behind me, and where, as in the native tradition, we call God Creator. So, what was the question again? What were we talking about? Talking about, okay, so transitioning to the bespoke retreats. It's very difficult to bring spirit into the room in a commercial studio. Very difficult. I've always had to, over 20 years of teaching, I've had to tamp down my spirituality and my faith and my belief, my connection to the divine, because people are scared of it. People already think yoga is a cult, right? So I understand why studio owners have to kind of quench that and go, okay, we're trying not to scare people or freak people out, So let's veer away from that. One of my great teachers, who you probably know, so Sean Korn. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I did a vinyasa teacher training with her in Toronto, and she's a real teacher's teacher, and she taught me how to bring spirit into the room because she does it all the time. She goes, if I'm teaching, she goes, when you're in Rome, teach to the Romans. So she goes, when I'm in the Midwest of the US and I'm teaching, I'll talk about Christ or, God as they understand it. So one of the terms I learned from Sean, how to bring spirit into the room, is to say, the God of your own understanding. Can be anything. That could be Buddha, it could be Krishna, it could be Mother Nature, whatever. It doesn't matter. God is the blanket we throw over the mystery to give it shape. But a lot of people have trouble with the capital G in God. They trip over that. And, I believe that we are all God. God lives in us. And I don't believe that any one faith is wrong or right. I believe there's truth in all of it. And I don't think God cares what path you choose. I think he'll walk down any path to meet you. So, as you can see, I'm very passionate about this. I've had a recent plant medicine journey experience at Rhythmia in Costa Rica, which really has helped push me into my power, into my strength, and all the things that I was keeping small, all the ways I was playing small, all the things I was tamping down to fit in, to be accepted, out the window. I don't care anymore. I don't care what people think about me talking about God anymore. I don't care about being judged by that. I don't care if people get me or they don't get me. The people who are meant to get me will get me, and the people who don't, that's fine. I'm not for everyone. But I need to speak more into my authenticity, and tamping down and teaching the way a commercial studio wants me to teach or needs me to teach for them to stay in business feels cringy now. It feels icky. So I need to step away from that, and no better place than my own home that I've been blessed with, which is, it's like a yoga retreat. When my nieces, my families come and stay here, they go, oh my God, I feel like I'm at a yoga retreat in your house. And I have this beautiful half-acre property in the Hollywood Hills, but I'm still only 1,000 feet from Hollywood Boulevard. And I'm surrounded by trees and nature. It's a completely private space. And it's really magical. So I want to use it. And what a gift I've been given to use this space, which is so magical, and it's my home, to be able to share my teachings that I'm now going to go a little more full on. I'm going to lean more into the mystical. I'm going to lean more into the spirit-based. I'm going to lean more to my indigenous background and teachings. Things I learned from the South American tradition, Costa Rica, things that come from my own lineage as a native Canadian Indian. Bringing more of that tradition and that connection with nature into my teaching and my healing practices and my coaching. Empowering, and no better place to do it. There's no judgment. There's no studio dogma or corporate streamlining to rein it in here.
As a facilitator, I'm so interested in the format. I know it's going to be, is it half day? Like, tell us a little bit about the format for it, and like what is the experience that you're going to be curating?
I'm still working it out with my partner in crime, Anita Vassan, who's an amazing teacher. And she is Indian, and really the reason I'm partnering with her is I always partner with people on my workshops or retreats or anything I do. I pick someone who's good where I'm good. She's got what I don't have, and I've got what she doesn't have. I always do that when I choose an assistant teacher or a partner. So she's been kind of leaning into the space in her own way and doing her own events and things like that. So I'm thinking it'll be like maybe 10 to 4, which is a lot. People will arrive at the house. They will get, which is a completely private space. They'll get, a lavender, hand towel when they arrive, just to kind of calm their senses. I will smudge them on the porch. I'll do a spiritual cleansing. I will smudge them right on the door front of my house before they cross. They'll come in, we'll have some light refreshments, some tea, some, avo toast, eggs, fruit, whatever. People get to say hello and put on the space. And I've got these beautiful top decks up the back of my house in the canyon. And Anita came and we were kind of mapping it out. And this top deck, this is where we should do our intention setting. So go up there, we'll do our intention setting. And then we want to move into the asana. Asana practice, the physical practice of yoga, is what we start to work through the body to calm the nervous system so that we can do the deeper work of meditation, of yoga nidra, of some somatic practices like teaching muscle testing and lived awareness, maybe a dharma talk, some sound healing. It's going to be a journey, and I'm hoping that when people leave, they feel grounded, they feel connected back to the heart and their soul, and they get some insights, they get something to take home with them that they can keep and use as a daily practice.
I love it. It sounds like a very well curated arc of transformation. When you were talking about your students, walking away in tears and crying and, taking something away from every class, it's like, if you're able to facilitate that deep of a transformation in a 60-minute or a 75-minute class in a yoga studio, multiply that times, a 6-hour event that's curated in your space with, you have control of all of the elements. It's going to be amazing. I'm so excited for you, Diane.
Thank you so much. And I'm taking, something you suggested to me is, doing like a 30-minute consult with me or with Anita upon arrival, while people are, having tea and having a little bit of fruit and whatnot. And thankfully, this is all download. I was my week at Rhythmia, where I was doing plant medicine, the final breathwork session, which a lot of people get, the miracle of awareness that Rhythmia offers in the last breathwork session. This came to me in my last breathwork. It was complete download of that magical week of healing that I had, because my husband and I are currently consciously uncoupling, and I love the beach, and we used to live in the marina, and as part of our conscious uncoupling, he's going to move back to the marina and live on his boat and whatnot, and I'm going to be here in the house in the hills. And I was kind of, bummed about that. I was like, man, he gets to go live back in the beach. Why don't I get to live back? I want to go back and live in the beach again. I love it there. Oh God. And why am I stuck in this house in the hills by myself? I've got this big old house, this big old property by myself. What's up with that? And then I got the answer while I was on my plant medicine journey. During the last breath work of the week, it came down and goes, use your house as a private retreat space. Boom. I came home, started putting the pieces in motion, and everyone just started showing up. My partner, who I didn't know who to partner with because I knew I couldn't. I've hosted retreats before. You can't do 6 hours alone. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of energy at work. Even after I teach double studio, if I teach 2 classes in a row, I give everything I got. There are some teachers who can teach 3 classes. I used to do that when I was the first couple of years. I can't do that because I leave it all on the table. It's too much energy out. When I get home from teaching, I can't talk more. I've given everything I've got and I'm dead. I need to eat and lay down. That's it. So I know, but by the end of the 6 hours, I knew I was going to need help. I didn't know who I was going to bring in for help. She walked in the door. It showed up. The event planners, the producers, the people who are really connected here in LA, they all just started showing up and helping me connect dots and saying, okay, you want to do partnerships with these boutique hotels, Diane, you want to do this, you want to do that, you want to get the people who are coming in town for work, you want to, and that's where the trust comes. We loop back to the book. Lived experience. I'm living it. Mm-hmm. That's why I'm teaching it and sharing it.
Yeah, when you have a thought and you have a vision, the universe, when you're connected, it sees it, it manifests it into physical form very, very fast. That time from idea to actual manifestation, I find, is very short with people like yourself that are very tapped in. All right, so I'm curious, where can we find out about what's going on? What are your socials? What's your website? People are going to want to know where they can reach out about, the consult for the retreat, etc. Fill us in.
Well, Instagram is my jam. So hit me up on my Instagram social. It's just Diane K Yoga. Secondary is my website, dianekyoga.com. Plan on getting a YouTube channel going and linked all together as well, including my fun. So that's the best place to find me. Unless, you DM me or you happen to be walking your dog down the canyon in Los Angeles. That's a great way to find me too, at the dog park. Mm-hmm. Or if you find one of my public classes, I teach for Moda Yoga LA currently. As I said, I'm taking a step back from my public offerings. There'll be a lot fewer and further in between. But wherever I'm teaching, I'm going to keep you posted and updated on my socials, on Instagram, my website, and YouTube.
Excellent. And one final question, if you were to impart some wisdom or knowledge to a future student, somebody that's going through the process of really working on themselves or wanting to step into full trust, what wisdom could you give for that person?
Surrender. Surrender. Palms up. Palms up. Open, receive. It's not the hands on. This, not the white knuckling. No. Palms up. Now, this is actually a physiological cue that I give in my classes. Palms up in Final Shavasana. Palms up and open, standing in Tadasana. Palms up is open to receive. Open to receive all the good you've got coming to you, all the good you so rightfully deserve, you just forgot. Come back into your heart and remember what you deserve. Remember who you are. Remember your power, your strength, and your dignity. You're forgiven for forgetting. You just forgot. You already know. We come to the mat to remember what we already know to be true. We just forgot. Great lesson that I had recently from my time at Rhythmia was what my soul looks like. I was able to merge back with my soul. And if you want to know what your soul looks like, find a picture of yourself when you were 2 or 3 years old. That's what your soul looks like. Still, now, to this day, whether you're 50, 60, or 70, your soul still looks like that 2-year-old. It's still bright, shining, fearless, and beautiful. We just forgot, because here's the thing. Life will throw some black paint on you, okay? Life is challenging. You're going to get stuff thrown at you. Bad stuff is going to happen. Hard stuff is going to happen. That's life. But that black paint that got thrown at you, maybe it got on your arms, maybe it got on your legs, maybe it got on your hair, but it never touched your soul. Your soul is still clean, pristine, perfect. Back in your heart. Reconnect with your soul.
I feel like I just got like a full-on download just listening to you. Thank you, Diane. Your spirit is amazing. I'm so excited for what's to come and all of the beautiful events you're curating, the book, and just seeing you speak on more stages. Thank you so much, Diane, for being on Aligned Impact podcast. It's been such a pleasure to have you.
You're welcome. It's been a pleasure to be here. Thank you for letting me share. I'm happy. I can cry.
Thank you.
Summer, thank you.
Of course. Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of Aligned Impact. I'm truly grateful to have you here in this growing community of leaders, innovators, and conscious change makers. Check the show notes for all the links and resources we mentioned today, and you can explore more of my work and programs over at FlowShala.com or connect with me on social media at Summer Huntington and YouTube as well for behind the scenes, movement inspiration, and business tips. Stay tuned for more episodes of Aligned Impact that inspire you to lead with intention, get empowered, and create aligned impact in your life and your community.